Thugs tried to kidnap her, but a homeless boy's stick changed everything. His act of bravery triggered the biker world's most sacred and dangerous rule, the life debt. Now he's offered a place within the empire, a cage of protection, violence, and a forbidden connection that could get him killed. If you're new here, subscribe and comment your location. Now let's begin. The alley smelled like garbage and wet brick. Kai was digging in a dumpster behind the Chinese restaurant. He was looking for half-eaten noodles or maybe a lost wallet. He heard the sounds first. A girl's voice, sharp and angry, "Get your hands off me." Then men laughing, low and mean. Kai peeked over the dumpster lid. There was a girl with dark hair, maybe his age, maybe older. She was dressed in black jeans and a leather jacket covered in patches. Two big men in cheap suits had her arms. They were trying to push her into a van with no license plates. Kai's heart beat fast. He knew this was bad. He was nobody, a street kid. He should hide, but the girl fought hard. She kicked one man in the knee. He cursed and slapped her. The sound was loud in the alley. Kai didn't think. He grabbed the only thing near him, a long, thick piece of wood, maybe from a broken pallet. He ran at the men. He didn't shout. He just swung. The wood hit the first man in the back of the head. Thwack! The man grunted and let go of the girl. The second man turned, surprised. Kai swung again, hitting his shoulder. The girl used that second. She stomped on the second man's foot, then kneed him between the legs. He groaned and fell to his knees. The first man was getting up, his eyes wild. He pulled out a knife. The shiny blade flashed under the alley light. Kai froze. He only had a stick. Suddenly, a roar filled the alley, not from a man, from engines. Two huge motorcycles swung into the alley entrance, headlights blinding everyone. The bikes stopped. Two giant men got off. They wore leather vests covered with patches. The biggest one had "Jaw" written on his front patch. He had a beard and eyes that looked like black stones. The man with the knife saw them. His face went white. He dropped the knife and ran. The other man tried to run too, but he was still hurting. Jaw walked over very fast. He grabbed the running man by the neck and slammed him into the brick wall. The man went limp. Jaw turned. His eyes went to the girl. "Stella, you hurt." The girl, Stella, wiped her mouth. "I'm fine, Dad." Then she pointed at Kai. He helped. He hit them with a stick. Jaw's hard eyes moved to Kai. Kai still held the piece of wood. He was skinny, dirty, wearing clothes that were too big. He looked like a scared rabbit facing a wolf. Jaw walked over. He looked down at Kai. "You live here?" His voice was like grinding rocks. Kai couldn't speak. He just nodded. "You know who those men were?" Kai shook his head. "You know who she is?" Jaw pointed at his daughter. Kai shook his head again. Jaw stared at him for a long time. Then he did something strange. He nodded just once. "You have a name, kid." Kai, he whispered. "Kai," Jaw repeated. "You just created a life debt. You understand that? You saved my daughter's life. That means I owe you everything, my life, my club's life, everything." Kai didn't understand. "I don't want anything," he said, his voice shaking. Jaw almost smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Doesn't matter what you want. The debt exists. Come on." Jaw turned and walked back to his bike. He looked at Stella. "You ride with Marcus." He looked at Kai. "You ride with me." Kai was too scared to say no. He dropped the stick. He climbed onto the back of Jaw's huge motorcycle. He held onto the big man's leather vest. The bike roared to life and shot out of the alley. They didn't go to a normal house. They went to a place called the Sanctum. It was a big, windowless building that was part garage, part bar, part clubhouse. Bikes were everywhere. Men and a few women with the same leather vests sat around, drinking, talking, working on engines. They all stopped and stared when Jaw walked in with a dirty homeless kid. Jaw didn't stop. He walked to a back room with a pool table. He pointed at a chair. "Sit." Kai sat. Stella came in and stood by the door, watching. A few other important-looking bikers followed. One was Marcus, a calm-faced man with smart eyes. Another was a huge, angry-looking man named Brick. Jaw stood in front of Kai. "Here is the deal, Kai. The debt must be paid. I offer you 3 things. First, a roof. You will live here in a room upstairs. Second, a prospect patch. Jaw pointed to a young man by the wall who had a vest with a single plain patch that said Prospect. You will work for the club, you will earn your place. Third, my protection. The men who tried to take Stella work for a man named Cortez. He runs drugs. He wanted Stella to get to me. Now he will want you dead. Only here are you safe. Kai's head was spinning. I don't know how to be a biker. Brick laughed, a nasty sound. He's a rat, Jaw. Look at him. He'll get himself killed in a week. Jaw ignored Brick. You will learn. This is how the debt is paid. I give you a life. A real one. You take it, the debt is settled. You walk out that door, the debt still exists, but Cortez will find you in a day. Your choice. Kai looked at the floor. He thought of the cold alley, the hungry nights. He thought of the knife flashing at him. He had no choice at all. I'll stay, he whispered. Good, Jaw said. He looked at Marcus. Get him cleaned up, get him clothes. He starts tomorrow. The next few days were a blur. Kai got a small, clean room with a lock. He got new jeans, t-shirts, boots. He ate hot meals for the first time in months. It felt like a dream. But then the work started. Being a prospect was like being a servant for the whole club. Kai had to clean the bathrooms. He had to mop the garage floor. He had to fetch tools, get coffee, and stand guard at the door for hours. The members, especially Brick, liked to order him around. Prospect, my bike is dirty, clean it. Prospect, this trash is full, empty it. Hey, alley rat, you missed a spot. Kai worked hard. He never complained. He wanted to pay his debt and figure a way out. Stella watched him. She was different from the others. She wasn't a member, but she was the president's daughter. She came and went as she pleased. She was studying mechanics at a community college. She had her own small workshop in a corner of the garage. One afternoon, Kai was struggling to move a heavy tire. He was skinny and not very strong. Stella walked over. Here, she said, you're doing it wrong. She showed him how to roll it, not lift it. The tire moved easily. You have to be smart, not just strong. Thanks, Kai said, wiping sweat from his face. She looked at him. Her eyes were green and very direct. You didn't have to save me, you know. You could have run. I know, Kai said. Why didn't you? Kai thought about it. I don't know, it just seemed like the thing to do. Stella smiled a little. A good instinct. Too bad it got you stuck here. She walked back to her workbench. That was the first light moment. There were others, like when Kai was told to help Stella organize a huge box of old motorcycle parts. They were covered in grease. Stella pretended to throw a dirty gear at him. He ducked, laughing. She laughed too. It was a real sound in the serious clubhouse. Or when Kai, trying to learn to ride a small club bike, accidentally drove it straight into a dumpster. He wasn't hurt, but he was covered in shame. Stella ran over, not laughing at him, but checking if he was okay. Marcus, who was teaching him, just shook his head and said, well, you hit the target. Wrong target, but still. Kai managed a weak smile. But there was always tension. The chemistry between Kai and Stella grew. It happened in small moments. When she would lean over him to point at something on an engine, her hair would almost touch his cheek. He could smell her shampoo, something like citrus, mixed with the smell of oil. Their hands would touch when passing a wrench. They would look at each other and then quickly look away. It was a charged feeling, like the air before a thunderstorm, but it was dangerous. Everyone could see it, Brick especially. One night the club had a party. There was loud music and drinking. Kai was carrying drinks for the members. He saw Stella sitting alone at the bar, drawing in a notebook. He brought her a soda without her asking. Thanks, she said, not joining the fun. Prospects don't get to have fun, Kai said, trying to sound like it was a joke. Stella looked at him. The noise around them seemed to fade. You're not like them, Kai. You're not hard inside. Maybe I'm learning to be, he said. Don't, she said quietly, please. Before he could answer, Brick walked up. He was drunk. He put a heavy arm around Kai's shoulders. Look, the hero Prospect, you think you're something special, don't you? Because you saved the princess. His breath smelled like beer. He looked at Stella. He thinks he can get close to you, but he's just a rat we let inside. Kai tensed. I don't think that. Brick squeezed harder, hurting him. Good, remember your place. You're here to pay a debt, not to climb." Jaw's voice cut through the music. "Brick, let him go." Brick immediately let go. He turned to Jaw. "I was just reminding him, Prez." "I'll do the reminding," Jaw said, his voice cold. He looked. Kai threw himself into the work. He decided if this was his cage, he would learn every inch of it. He stopped just cleaning bikes and started asking questions. He asked Marcus, the calm one, how the engine worked. Marcus was surprised, but he started to show him. Kai learned fast. He had a good memory from surviving on the streets. Stella saw him learning. She started to help. In her workshop corner, she would explain things when no one was looking. "This is a carburetor. It mixes air and fuel. If it's dirty, the bike runs like crap." Her fingers, smudged with grease, pointed to the parts. Kai watched her hands, then the parts, trying to focus. Their hands touched often, reaching for the same tool, brushing past each other in the small space. Each touch felt electric. It was a secret game, a silent conversation. One day, Stella was trying to loosen a very tight bolt. She strained, her face turning red. "Stupid thing won't budge." "Here," Kai said. He moved behind her to reach over her shoulder. He put his hand on the wrench with hers. His chest was almost against her back. He could feel the heat from her body. They both pulled. The bolt broke free with a loud crack. They didn't move. For a second, they were frozen, his arms around her, both holding the wrench. Kai could smell her hair. Stella let out a small, shaky breath. Then she slowly stepped away, turning to face him. They were very close. Her eyes were wide. "Thanks," she whispered. Before anything could happen, the garage door crashed open. Brick walked in with two other members. He saw them standing close. His face turned dark. "What's this?" Brick growled. "Prospect, you got work to do, not playing mechanic with the boss's daughter." Kai stepped back. "We were just—" "I don't care," Brick snapped. He walked up to Stella's workbench and knocked a tray of clean parts onto the dirty floor. "Clean this up, Prospect. That's your real job." Kai's fists clenched. He wanted to hit Brick, but he knew he couldn't. He just nodded and knelt to pick up the parts. Stella glared at Brick. That was unnecessary. "Your dad lets you have this little hobby, Stella," Brick said, "but don't forget where you are." He walked away, laughing with his friends. Kai gathered the parts, his face hot with anger. Stella knelt down to help him. "Don't let him see he got to you," she said quietly. "He did get to me," Kai said, his voice tight. "I know," Stella said. She put her hand over his, stopping him from picking up another bolt. Her touch was warm and steady. "Me too." That night, Jaw called Kai into his office. It was a room with a big desk, guns in a glass case, and pictures of motorcycles. "Sit," Jaw said. He looked at Kai for a long moment. "You're learning. Marcus says you're smart. You keep your mouth shut. Good." Kai just nodded. "Brick doesn't like you," Jaw said. It wasn't a question. "He's old school, thinks the club is only for hard men who come up through violence. He doesn't understand a life debt. To him, you're weak." "Am I weak?" Kai asked, looking Jaw in the eye for the first time. Jaw almost smiled. "You faced a knife with a stick. No, you're not weak, but you are different, and different is dangerous here." He leaned forward. "The debt is still being paid, Kai, but how it is paid, that is changing. I am giving you a new job." "What job?" Stella, Jaw said simply. "She is taking her mechanic's certificate test next week. The test is in the city at the college. Cortez still wants to hurt me. He might try for her again. You will drive her. You will stay with her. You will be her shadow that day, not as a prospect. As the man who owes me nothing, but who I trust with what is most precious." Kai's heart thumped. "Why me? Why not Brick or Marcus?" "Because you have already proven you will fight for her with no orders," Jaw said. "And because she trusts you, do this, protect her. It is part of your duty now." The day of the test arrived. Kai was given keys to a plain, dark car. Stella got in the passenger side. She was nervous, holding her toolbox on her lap. "Did you study?" Kai asked, trying to sound normal. "Until my brain hurt," she said. "If I pass, I can get a real job at a real garage, maybe even start my own someday." She looked out the window at the clubhouse getting smaller, away from all this. Kai drove carefully. He watched every car around them. He felt responsible. It was a strange feeling. They got to the college. It was a big building. "The test is 3 hours, Stella said. "You don't have to wait in the car. You can come in. There's a waiting area." Kai went in with her. The waiting area had chairs and a coffee machine. It felt like a different planet. Clean, quiet, normal. Stella went into the test room. Kai sat down. He watched people walk by, students with backpacks, teachers. No one looked like a biker. No one looked like they knew how to fight. He felt out of place, but he also felt a tiny spark of something. This was a piece of a normal life, a life he never had. After 2 hours, he got up to get a drink of water from the fountain. He turned a corner in the hallway. And he stopped. Standing by a vending machine, pretending to look at snacks, was one of the men from the alley, the one he had hit with the stick. The man had a bruise still fatting on his jaw. He was wearing a janitor's uniform. The man looked up. His eyes met Kai's. They widened in surprise, then they filled with hate. Kai didn't think. He turned and walked quickly back to the waiting area. His heart was a drum in his chest. Cortez's man was here. This was not an accident. They knew Stella was here. Kai sat down, trying to look calm. He had no phone to call Jaw. He had no weapon. He was alone. The test room door opened. Stella walked out, looking tired but happy. "I think I passed," she said. Then she saw his face. "Kai, what's wrong?" "We have to go now," he said, standing up. "Don't look around, just walk to the car with me." Stella understood immediately. The happiness left her face. She nodded. They walked quickly down the hall toward the exit. Kai looked everywhere. He didn't see the janitor. They got to the car. Kai unlocked it. "Get in, lock your door." Just as Stella got in, a white van screeched to a stop right behind their car, blocking them in. The side door slid open. The janitor and another big man jumped out. The janitor had a metal pipe. Kai pushed Stella all the way into the car. "Stay down," he yelled. He slammed her door shut just as the janitor swung the pipe. Kai ducked. The pipe hit the car roof with a loud bang. The other man grabbed Kai from behind. Kai stomped on the man's foot, just like Stella had done in the alley. The man cursed and loosened his grip. Kai elbowed him hard in the stomach. The janitor swung the pipe again. Kai couldn't get away. He raised his arm to block it. Suddenly, a car horn blared. A big, black truck came roaring across the parking lot, heading straight for the van. It was Marcus. He was driving. The truck smashed into the side of the van, pushing it away. Marcus jumped out. He had a crowbar. He didn't say a word. He walked up to the janitor and hit him with the crowbar. The janitor fell down. The other man tried to run. Marcus threw the crowbar. It hit the man in the back, and he fell too. Marcus looked at Kai. "Get in the truck, now." Kai pulled a shaking Stella from the car. They ran to the truck and jumped in. Marcus sped away. In the truck, Stella was breathing fast. How did you know?" "Jaw is not stupid," Marcus said, his eyes on the road. "We had a second car following you the whole time. We lost them for a minute in traffic. That's when they made their move." He looked at Kai in the mirror. "You did good. You kept your head." Kai looked at his arm. It was already bruising where the pipe had hit. It hurt, but Stella was safe. That was all that mattered. He felt Stella's hand slip into his. She held it tight. She didn't let go the whole way home. Back at the sanctum, Jaw listened to Marcus's report. He looked at Kai's bruised arm. He looked at Stella, who was still holding Kai's hand. Jaw's face was like stone. "Cortez has broken the rules. He came for my blood on a day of peace. This is an act of war." He looked at Kai. "You stood your ground. The life debt is paid in full." The room went quiet. Brick looked furious. "What, Prez? He's just a prospect." "The debt is paid." Jaw's voice was final. "He is no longer bound by that, but he is a prospect of this club, and he has earned his place. Tomorrow, Kai, you will get your first real job. You will ride with us. We are going to pay a visit to Cortez." Kai felt a chill. The cage had just changed shape. He was free of the debt, but now he was truly one of them. And the look in Stella's eyes was no longer just charged with chemistry. it was filled with fear for him. The clubhouse buzzed like a hornet's nest that had been kicked. Jaw's declaration was law. The debt was gone, but Kai was now in deeper than ever. He was going to war. Stella pulled him aside, away from the men gearing up. "You don't have to do this," she whispered, her voice urgent. "The debt is done. You can walk away." Kai looked at her. He looked at the clubhouse, his roof, his food, the first place that hadn't thrown him out. He looked at Brick, sneering at him from across the room. Walking away now would prove Brick right. It would make him a rat who ran, and it would leave Stella here in this world while he went back to the alleys. "I'm not walking away," he said. "Not from this, not from—" He stopped. He didn't say you. Stella's eyes searched his face. "Then be smart. Don't try to be a hero. Stay behind Marcus. Watch your back." She reached out and quickly squeezed his hand. The touch was hot and fast. Then she turned and walked to her father. "Dad, I want to be in the chase car." Jaw shook his head. "No. Marcus will drive. I'll be on the radio. I know the streets better than anyone. You need me." She stood tall, her green eyes fierce. Jaw looked at his daughter. He saw her mother's stubbornness in her face. He gave a single, sharp nod. "You stay in the car. You see trouble, you drive. Understood." Understood. An hour later, Kai was on the back of a bike, clinging to Marcus. He wore a prospect vest that felt heavy and wrong. A helmet hid his face. The roar of 20 engines starting at once was a physical vibration in his chest. It was terrifying and powerful. They were a rolling avalanche of noise and metal. Jaw led them. They didn't go to Cortez's fancy downtown club. They went to his warehouse on the industrial edge of the city where his real business happened. The chase car, an old sedan with Stella at the passenger window, followed a block behind. At the warehouse, Cortez's men were waiting. They had guns. Jaw's people had guns too. Kai felt sick. He had never held a gun. Jaw got off his bike. He walked forward alone, his hands open. A man came out of the warehouse, Cortez. He was slick, wearing a silk shirt. He looked like a businessman, but his eyes were dead. "Jaw, you bring your whole kindergarten to play," Cortez shouted over the idling bikes. "You sent men for my daughter on a day of peace. You broke the only rule that matters," Jaw said, his voice low, but it carried. "A rule for old men," Cortez laughed. "I have new rules and more guns." Jaw didn't move. "This is your only warning. Leave the city. Your business is done here." Cortez laughed harder, then he raised his hand. It happened fast. Cortez's men raised their guns. Jaw's men did the same. Kai froze. This was it. He was going to die in a place he didn't belong. A shot rang out. But it didn't come from the warehouse. It came from a roof across the street. One of Cortez's men screamed and dropped his gun, clutching his hand. Everyone looked up. On the roof, silhouetted against the gray sky, was Stella. She was lying down, looking through the scope of a rifle. "I said no guns for my daughter," Jaw roared at Marcus in the chase car. Marcus just shrugged over the radio. She brought her own. Stella's voice crackled in the earpieces Jaw's men wore. "The next one goes in a knee. Tell your men to drop their weapons." Cortez looked furious and shocked. He hadn't expected this. Jaw used the moment. "You see, Cortez, my family fights together. Your men fight for money. Now get in your cars and leave, or my daughter will give you a new hobby, walking with a cane." Cortez knew he was beaten. The shot from the roof changed everything. It showed precision, not just brute force. He cursed, spat on the ground, and waved his men back inside. "This isn't over, Jaw." "Yes," Jaw said, turning his back. "It is." The ride back was quieter. The threat was gone for now. Back at the sanctum, the mood was different. The men looked at Kai differently. He had ridden with them. He hadn't run. Even Brick was quiet, though he still glared. But they looked at Stella with a new respect and a little fear. She had broken the club's rules too. Women didn't ride on wars. They didn't provide sniper cover. Jaw called them both into his office. He looked at Stella first. "Where did you learn to shoot like that?" "Uncle Marcus taught me, for protection. I used it for protection," she said, not backing down. Jaw sighed, then he looked at Kai. You stood your ground, the prospect period is over. You are a full member now if you want it, no debt, your choice. Kai was stunned. A full member, a patch, a real place. He looked at Stella. She watched him, her face unreadable. What does it mean? Kai asked. It means you are one of us, for life. You follow the rules, you protect the club, you get a share of what we earn. It means family, Jaw said. Family, Kai had never had one. He looked around the room, at Marcus, who gave him a small nod, at the tough, violent men, at Stella, who was not part of this brotherhood, but was tied to it by blood. He thought of the cold alley, he thought of the warm room upstairs, he thought of Stella's hand in his. I accept, Kai said. Jaw nodded. Good, tomorrow you get your patch. That night there was a party to celebrate the victory over Cortez and to welcome Kai. It was loud. Kai was given a beer. He didn't like the taste, but he drank it. People clapped him on the back. They called him brother. It felt strange, good but strange. Stella found him outside, away from the noise. Congratulations, she said. She didn't sound happy. Thanks. You know what this means, right? She said, her voice low. You're in, really in. The things they do, some of it is bad, Kai. It's not just fixing bikes and scaring off drug dealers. I know, he said, but it's also a roof. It's people who have my back. It's you. That's the cage, Stella whispered, stepping closer. You think you're staying for me, and that makes me the lock. No, Kai said. He reached for her hand. You're the reason it doesn't feel like a cage. He kissed her then. It wasn't like the almost kisses in the garage. This was real. Her lips were soft and tasted like cherry soda. She kissed him back, her hands coming up to hold his face. It was a deep, hungry kiss full of all the charged moments they'd held back. It was a kiss that said everything they couldn't say out loud. It was YouTube safe, but it was full of fire. When they pulled apart, they were both breathing hard. Stella rested her forehead against his. This makes it even more dangerous, she whispered. I don't care, Kai said. The next day, Kai got his patch, a rocker that said Sanctum on the bottom. His old Prospect vest was burned. He put on the new vest. It felt even heavier. Brick walked up as Kai looked at himself in a mirror. Look at that. The alley rat is a full-grown dog now. His voice was nasty. Just remember, dog, you might have a patch, but you'll always be the kid who needed a handout, and stay away from what's mine. Kai turned, his blood going hot. What's yours? Brick smirked. Stella, the princess, she's club royalty. She's for a real member, not for you. Before Kai could react, Stella's voice cut in. I'm not a prize to be won, Brick. I choose who I'm with, and it's not you. Brick's face turned dark red. He looked like he wanted to hit someone, but he just sneered and walked away. Things changed after that. Kai and Stella didn't hide their chemistry anymore. They held hands in the clubhouse. They went on rides together, just the two of them. They worked on bikes side by side. The club saw it. Some smiled. Some, like Brick, simmered with anger. Jaw watched, his face giving nothing away. Kai learned the club's business. He learned they ran legitimate garages, but he also learned they smuggled certain car parts to avoid taxes. They sometimes convinced other businesses to use their services. It was a gray area. It was the empire, and it didn't give itself up. One day, Marcus took Kai on a job. They were to collect money from a strip club owner who was behind on his protection fees. The owner was scared. He gave them an envelope full of cash. Kai took it, feeling sick. This was different from fighting Cortez. This was just bullying. On the ride back, Marcus said, "It doesn't feel good, does it?" "No," Kai admitted. "It's the price of the roof, kid," Marcus said. "The price of the family. You have to decide if the price is worth it." Kai thought about it all night. He thought about the roof. He thought about Stella's kiss. He thought about the scared strip club owner. He thought about the alley. The next morning, he went to Jaw. "I want to work only in the legitimate garage, the one downtown. I'm good with engines now. I can bring in honest money for the club." Jaw studied him. Brick, who was in the office, laughed. "See, soft." Jaw ignored Brick. "Why?" "Because I want to pay for my roof with clean hands," Kai said. or as clean as they can be here, I'll still be a member. I'll still fight for the club if it's attacked, but I won't collect protection money." The room was silent. No one had ever asked for this. Finally, Joe nodded. "All right, you will work at the downtown garage. You will report to the manager there, but you will still come to church meetings. You are still one of us." It was a compromise. Kai had carved out a small space of honor within the cage. Brick was furious. He saw it as weakness rewarded. He started to spread rumors. He said Kai was a cop. He said Kai was using Stella to get power. The tension grew. It was a pot about to boil over. One night, Kai was closing the downtown garage. Stella was there, helping him. They were laughing about a customer's weirdly painted car. They were alone. Brick and two of his friends walked in. They had been drinking. "Well, look, the lovebirds," Brick slurred. "The mechanic and the princess, how cute." "Garage is closed, Brick," Kai said, stepping in front of Stella. "I'm not here for an oil change," Brick said. He walked up close. "I'm here to tell you to stay away from her for the last time." "Or what?" Kai said, his voice calm. Brick swung first. The fight was ugly. Brick was bigger, stronger, and meaner, but Kai was fast and desperate. He had fought in alleys his whole life. He didn't fight fair. He used wrenches, kicked shins, fought dirty. Brick's friends tried to jump in, but Stella grabbed a fire extinguisher and sprayed them in the face. Finally, Kai got Brick on the ground. He was about to hit him again when a voice roared. "Enough!" Joe stood in the doorway. He had heard the noise. He looked at the wrecked garage, at his beaten lieutenant on the ground, at his daughter holding a fire extinguisher, at Kai breathing hard, his knuckles bloody. Joe walked over to Brick. "You started this." Brick coughed. "He's not one of us, Joe. He's dividing the club." Joe looked at Kai. "Is that true?" Kai stood up. "I just want my place, and Stella, that's all." Joe looked at Stella. "And you?" Stella put down the extinguisher. "I choose him, Dad." Joe closed his eyes for a second. When he opened them, he looked at Brick. "You attacked a brother over a woman. You broke the Brotherhood. You're out. Get your stuff and go. If you show your face here again, you will regret it." Brick looked shocked, then furious, but he didn't argue. He got up and limped out, his friends following. Joe looked at Kai and Stella. "This is the life you chose, both of you. It will always have violence. It will always have men like Brick, but it is your life now, together." He turned and walked out, leaving them in the quiet, wrecked garage. Kai looked at Stella. His face hurt, his hands hurt, but he felt free. Stella walked over and touched his bruised cheek. "We made our choice," she said. "Yeah," Kai said, pulling her close. "We did." They stayed like that for a long time. The empire was still there. The club was still there, but they had found their own space inside it. A space built on a life debt, paid in full, and a love that was stronger than any cage. Thank you for riding with Kai and Stella. Would you have chosen the club for a roof and a chance at love? Let us know where you're listening from in the comments, and subscribe for more stories where one brave choice changes an entire life.